Officer Solis recording the statement of one James Arcand about the death of Juliana Baltes. Statement was recorded on April 17th, 2023.
I can start now? Okay. Sorry. I've been running through what I wanted to say for the last couple of days now. But now I'm here, it's just blank. Like, I just don't know how to start. I'm sorry. Okay. I have this condition. Condition isn't the right word. I don't really know what to call it, but almost every night I experience sleep paralysis. You've probably heard of it before. It's talked about online a lot, but in case you haven't, it basically involves you waking up before your body does. You're conscious and aware, but you can't move a muscle, as if heavy weights are pushing down on you. This is usually accompanied by hallucinations of strange figures. People call them sleep paralysis demons, but not everyone gets them. I remember as a kid, my friend told me about the time he had it. He was sleeping on his stomach, so he couldn't see anything, but he heard his dog come into the room, jump on his bed, and lay on his back. When he could finally move again and got up, he realized that his door was closed and the dog was sleeping in his crate in his parents' room the whole time. For me, I always see the same person. Pritika.
Pritika?
She was. We met in high school. We had math class together with Mr. Davis, I think. She sat behind me, cheated off my tests. It ended up with both of us failing. And she actually had the audacity to get mad at me about it. I remember thinking that this girl is insane. We started dating soon after that. She was everything to me. Her smile, her laugh, her raven hair, how she always sounded like she knew she was right. Her confidence, it was infectious. She had big plans, big dreams. I was just happy to be part of them, to be part of a world, you know? It was serious. We had promise rings and everything. After we'd make up from a fight, she'd always joke that no matter, you'll always be stuck with me. We always used to joke. We could make each other laugh for hours. And then, during our last year of uni, she got sick. Really sick. The bad kind of sick. It was hard for both of us. Obviously, it was harder for her. You know, I did what I could. I tried to give her a smile back, to be there for her, but it was just scary. The horrifying part is how fast it was. You know, we were planning our future. I had bought a ring, and then in a flash she was gone. Forever. And I was alone. That's when it started. After she left, I was having trouble sleeping. The bed felt so empty. I would lie there awake for hours. It really messed up my whole sleep schedule. Then one night, I woke up and couldn't even move a finger. I was trapped in the darkness of the night, with a crushing weight pushing down my chest. It felt like I was choking. My breath sped up. I was gasping for air. I would try to will my body forward to take back the control that was stripped from me. That failed. and the anxiety grew louder in my chest. I darted my eyes around the room to understand what was going on. The only light came from the small cracks of moonlight peeking through my window in the corner. I followed the beams into the room, and calm washed over my body when I saw her. Pritika, standing next to my closet, the moonlight reflecting off her long raven hair. She was wearing the black dress she was buried in, staring directly at me. Her face was emotionless, paired with her pallid skin and sunken complexion. She was so vivid, so lifelike. I could even make out the small bumps of her skin. I sat there motionless, staring into her deep brown eyes for what felt like an eternity, until eventually, with a blink, she was gone, and I could move again. I thought in the moment this would be a one-time thing, but it wasn't. Each night I'd wake up in the darkness of my room and she'd be standing there, watching over me. It became longer too. I'd make it longer. Focus as hard as I could to stay in this moment, to stay with her. This went on for months. It started to affect my life. I wasn't sleeping at night, so I started sleeping during the day, on my break at work, and then eventually when I should have been working. I became even more reclusive than before. I'd ignore friends to spend more time staring. It culminated with me getting fired. I didn't even care. If anything, it meant I could freely sleep during the day so I could spend my night with her. I was obsessed. She was so perfect. A painting of before the world destroyed her. Friends expressed concerns with how I'd been acting, but I just ignored them too. I wouldn't lose her again. It wasn't healthy, I knew that, but I couldn't stop. The wake-up call was from my family. They sat me down, had a whole intervention type thing. They didn't know exactly what was going on, but they knew my lifestyle was ruining my life. I started seeing a therapist and started understanding my trauma. Started realizing I needed to move on, that I couldn't keep living like this. It was a long process. But it helped, it worked. Pritika's nightly visits never went away, but I let them be a comfort of her watching over me instead of an obsession. My mom was the one who suggested I try to put myself out there again, get back into the dating landscape. It had been 2 years now, and my life had regained a sense of normalcy. I had been on 1 or 2 dates before, but they always felt weird. Not weird. Wrong, That's how I met Julie. Juliana Baltes. We matched on Hinged, met for coffee. It was nice, easy. She was easy to talk to. She really loved books, especially the smell of them. Going into a used bookstore and soaking in the smell of old parchment was one of her favorite things. We kept seeing each other, getting closer, going on more dates. I was happy again, probably for the first time in a long while. That changed the first night she stayed over. I woke up, and like usual, I couldn't move. Pritika stood at the foot of my bed, and when I saw her, a pang of guilt sunk in my stomach. It was brushed aside quickly, though, when her head turned to look towards Julie. My chest tightened. Pritika had never moved before in the years I'd spent gazing at her. Our eyes would always lock, her expression would never change, and now here she was staring at the woman beside me. Slowly, Pritika began to move. Her footsteps made no noise as she approached the bed. She came up right next to me, and for the first time, I got an up-close look at her face. It really was sunken, The skin had been pulled taut, and each bone was easily visible. Her eyes were dark and empty, and as she looked at me, I felt my soul shudder. At this point, I had learned techniques to deal with sleep paralysis. If you focus on wiggling one of your fingers, you wake your body up faster. So when her gaze turned back towards Julie, I began to move my finger. I don't know why, but I knew I shouldn't move when she was looking at me. Now with motion back in my body, I slowly reached my hand to touch Pritika.
And did you?
Did I?
Did you touch her?
I moved my hand up to her. I shouldn't have been able to. She wasn't real, but then her skin was cold and soft, but ice cold and so thin, transparent almost. I made contact, my hand shot back in recoil, and just like that she was gone. I didn't believe, I couldn't understand what had happened. I tried to explain it away. I didn't go back to bed, I stayed up. It must have been guilt made manifest, or a stronger hallucination. Maybe I had been drugged. The light of day helped push it away. I didn't tell Julie about it. I didn't want her to think I was crazy. I tried staying at her place from then on. I never really got sleep paralysis outside of my apartment, so I just tried to spend as little time there as I could. But eventually that led to questions. How come we never stay at your place? How come you always come to mine? And at this point, I had convinced myself it was just my imagination playing tricks. And with the pressure from Julie, we eventually stayed at my place again. That's when it happened. I woke up again in the middle of the night, unable to move as always, but Pritika wasn't at the foot of my bed. Before I could feel any sort of relief, her gaunt face was leaning over top of me. I probably would have jumped or screamed or I don't know, but I was frozen. She smiled at me, a big, toothy smile. Her teeth were pure white, blinding white, the light of the moon reflecting off of them. She slowly crept to the other side of the bed, not breaking her eye contact with me. I tried desperately to wiggle my finger to gain control, but to wake up, and it wasn't working. She made it over to Julie and started to climb on top of her. The bed shifted with its newfound weight. In an instant, her hands were wrapped around Julie's neck. I watched the muscles under her skin retract as she started to strangle her. Julie had woken up at this point. At least, I think she woke up. She was squirming, struggling, trying to yell, but unable to with her crushed windpipe. Pritika's face remained unchanged, still smiling directly towards me. I just watched, trapped, until Julie stopped struggling. She stopped moving. She stopped. With her work finished, Pritika rolled Julie off the bed. She took her place, laid down next to me and wrapped her cold, dead hands around me. I was crying now, desperately trying to move, desperately trying to do anything, but my body was no longer my own. Pritika slowly moved her mouth towards my ear, and in a slow, grating, wispy tone, she said to me, "You'll always be stuck with me."
Statement ends. Juliana Baltes was found dead in James Arcand's apartment. After a short investigation, the death was ruled an accident. Miss Baltes had suffered from a stroke and was dead before the paramedics made it to the scene. Her windpipe was intact and no bruising was found around her neck.